It's no secret that Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa.
What's more to her?
With over 3 billion metric tons of iron ore deposits found in Kogi, Enugu, and Niger states, an estimated 10 million tons of lead-zinc veins spread across many states in Nigeria.
Over 7.5 million tons of barite in Taraba and Bauchi states, an abundance of lithium and gold in Nasarawa, Ogun State, and many more. Nigeria is blessed with a diverse mix of mineral deposits.
The Nigerian government, through the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development, is setting the pace to reposition Nigeria as an economic powerhouse.
Join us every Monday, 16:30 GMT, and on Saturday, 9 hours GMT, for the program Uncovering Nigeria's Hidden Gems.
Uncovering Nigeria's Hidden Gems,
where we highlight the activities of the solid minerals sector to discover the vast natural resources of the country and know more about the sector.
Remember, Mondays at 16:30 GMT and Saturdays at 9 hours GMT.
Uncovering Nigeria's Hidden Gems.
My name is Olukayode Ramos. I'm the CEO of Mosra Energy. Mosra Energy, we're a coal miner. We supply and mine coal to Bua, Dangote, and a host of other industrial users in Nigeria. We mine in two major areas. We have a mine site in Kogi called Odele, and then also we have another mine site in Delta State, in Uboba, Delta State. Those are the two mine sites that we have, two coal mine sites that we have. We also mine iron ore as well in Kotonkarifi, Kogi State. To be able to sort out Nigeria's electricity problem, that's why I went to coal mining. Nigeria, we have a lot of these power plants, gas-fired power plants. And as you see, they are under capacity, 20, 30, 40%, 50%. And Nigeria has these coal reserves. And we are working on setting up what we call mine mouth power plants in the places where we are working. The state of coal mining in the country at this time is we are mining to supply the industrial local users. Most of the local users that we supply to are the cement companies like Dangote, Bua, Mangal Cement, the ethanol companies, and as well as the ceramic companies. In addition to the local market, there is huge potential market abroad for coal. Unfortunately, because of the logistics problem, the haulage problem that we have, Nigeria is not able to tap into the export market. Because to move bulk materials like coal, we need the railway to work. And at this point, there is no freight rail service in Nigeria. That's why it's very hard for us to export. Currently, if you look at all the major manufacturers, including Bua, Dangote, and all of them, they move their raw materials and as well as their finished products via trailers. All of us use the roads. Even tankers to move their petroleum products is via the roads. And that's why the Nigerian roads break down a lot, because the Nigerian roads are designed to carry 51.1 metric tons of material. That is the weight they are designed to carry. The trailers that we use to move materials in Nigeria are over 85 metric tons. So every time, every second that the trailer moves on the road, they pound the road and they destroy the roads. And that's why it's very important that the Nigerian government faces what we call a mine-to-port project via railway system, so that we can be able to move our materials, our coal, iron ore, everything, lithium, every solid minerals, we can be able to move them via the rail to the port. Aside from the railway, we also need bulk cargo terminals that can handle bulk cargo. So for instance, most of the terminals, most of the ports in Nigeria are designed to handle containers. And where we have to export raw materials like coal, bulk materials, we need bulk handling terminals. If we're able to get those two sorted out, the railway infrastructure and the bulk terminals, we should be fine. The Nigerian Coal Corporation in the 60s and the 70s was able to export 600,000 tons of coal per annum in the 60s and 70s. Yes, because the railway was working. They were moving, the Nigerian Coal Corporation at that time was moving the coal from Ankpa, Udele area to Otukpo by road. And then from Otukpo, there's a rail service that moves straight to Port Harcourt. So the Nigerian Coal Corporation had a bulk terminal in Port Harcourt that they used for coal export in the 60s and the 70s. And that's why in those years, the solid minerals was able to contribute 5 to 6% to national Nigerian GDP. Today, the solid mineral contribute less than 1% to GDP. The export that we do for coal is to neighboring countries like Niger, Togo by road, all via trailers. That's what we do now, right? Those people come, they buy. But when we are talking about bulk export, that Nigeria has we have the resources to do that. We have adequate reserves to do that, but we are not able to do it because of the lack of rail service. Look at the petroleum industry, the crude oil. They have pipes, dedicated pipes, that move the crude oil from the production area straight to the port. They have an escravos line, they have several lines. Nobody moves crude oil by a tanker. It's all conveyed via pipe. And all over the world, it's only us and some other countries that move this coal and some other bulk materials via trailers. To make it efficient, you move them via rail. A trailer carries about 40 tons of material, whereas a train locomotive will pull about 50, 60, 70 wagons, each one of them carrying 60, 70 tons. The same amount of diesel that the trailer will use, the locomotive will consume twice for the same distance. So it's pertinent that for us to be able to generate adequate forex from the mineral resources that we have, that we need to make the freight rail service work. Well, we have invested in trailers to be able to move the materials to our customers. And as you know, the price of diesel today is very, very high. So that's why the cost of delivery, the cost of materials are very expensive in Nigeria. When people complain that Nigeria is high cost, one of the reasons that we are a high cost country is because of the high cost of freight, of transportation. Say for instance, if you're in the village, you can buy a bag of rice for 50,000 or whatever. By the time they move that same rice to the city, they will add money for the freight. So it's like every other material that we move via trailers. When BUA moves coal from a location in Kogi to Sokoto, the cost of freight is almost twice the value of the material that they moved. Honestly, there isn't much. The market conditions are great. The government has done a fantastic job in creating the enabling environment for investors. Honestly, I have nothing to add in terms of the investment climate. The government, the ministry, all these guys have worked really hard to promote Nigeria as a mining hub, and they are still doing their best every day through their blood and tears and sweat. So I can't ask them to do more than what they are doing now. It's just for us at this point to fix this infrastructure challenge, for us to get from the mine to the port. There are two types of mining. One, we call it open cast mining. The second is underground mining. The one we do in Nigeria at this point is the open cast. So we remove the earth, the overburden on top of the material, on top of the coal, using excavators and some other machines. When we reach the coal bed, we also use excavators and payloaders to remove the coal. We take the coal to the quarry, to the crusher. The crusher crushes the coal to the customer specifications. We have 3 different sets of specifications, and then our customers tell us exactly what kind of size they want. We crush it to the size. We load it into their trailers or our own trailers, and then we ship it out. It's not complicated. Coal mining is one of the easiest minerals that you can mine. Coal is easy to mine. Nigeria's grade of coal, we mine subbituminous coal, which is very, very standard all over the world. Nigeria has some of the best grades of mineral resources in the world, the same as South Africa, Australia, Brazil, USA. We have the same brands of the materials. So our quality is right there. There are massive interest in Nigeria's mineral resources, especially our coal. There is massive interest. The only challenge, and I keep telling you, is how to move the coal to the port. When you extract coal, there's no waste. China today mines about 3.5 billion tons of coal per annum, and 3.5 billion tons of coal that China mines in a year. That is not even enough for China. China still imports over 500 million tons of coal per annum. China's consumption of coal is over 4 billion. It is the cheapest source of energy that anybody can have. And that's why they are using it so much. And then again also, China today has placed herself as the largest producer and the home to the highest number of electric vehicles. Why? Because of the cheap electricity from coal. China's deliberate policy of import substitution has paid off for them. You know, China is not a producer of crude oil. They import crude oil, they import gas, everything. They import those things. So, and for them, coal is the cheapest source. It's a cheaper source than others. You know, it's not the government that is it's the private investors that should take a look at this themselves. So we are working with some partners at this point to see how we can develop coal power plants in Nigeria. Mosra Energy is one of the biggest customers of Sani Caterpillar equipment. We have a lot of machineries in operations. We have also deployed softwares as well that help us with our mining. But maybe what you are thinking about is AI and all this robotics. At this point, we are not there yet because we still need to have our people, Nigerians, to work. So it's not easy for us to start replacing human beings with deep machines at this point. The MCO is issuing licenses at will to investors. All the things that the government needs to do in this environment, I personally believe that the government has delivered. It's now up to the private sector to make this thing, to take up the challenge on their own. Huge potentials. Say for instance, South Africa every year exports over $70 billion worth of coal. Australia, maybe about $200 billion worth of coal. United States of America, another $100 billion worth of coal. Nigeria has well over 8 billion tons of coal reserve. This coal could be a money-making foreign exchange for the federal government. All we just need, and I keep saying it, is to sort out this haulage problem. If we can move our coal from the mines to the port at an inexpensive rate, in an efficient manner, Nigeria will earn lots of foreign exchange from coal. You see, these guys talk a lot. They talk. And, historically, go back to the 17th century when coal started to become a source of energy, the source of industrialization. It was from Europe. Britain was a poster boy. UK was a poster boy of coal at that time. They developed all the machineries and they mined the coal. Most of them have exhausted their coal. But meanwhile, look at Germany. This year, 2024, Germany allowed a coal mine to completely eradicate a village. The UK Prime Minister, about 2-3 months ago, recently approved new coal mines. So, you cannot completely eradicate a source of energy. It has all to come together. Look at the Russia-Ukraine war when it started. The price of coal jumped to $500 per metric ton, even far more than the price of crude oil, because everybody was scrambling to find coal. They came to Nigeria looking for coal. Poland, Germany, all of them. The then Minister of Solid Minerals, Adegbite, and I traveled a lot of places to get customers. They were interested. We couldn't deliver because we couldn't move the coal from the port to the mine. China mines over 3.5 billion tons of coal in a year. They even still import another 500 million tons, making 4 billion tons. You can Google it, how many tons of coal does Germany imports every year. All of them France. France, when in the crisis 2 years ago, when they were about to shut down their coal power plants, the French government told them not to shut down. They're still working. So, even US, Canada, all of them uses coal. We do not have waste in coal. So when we take out the material from the ground, we have what is called reclamation. So the overburden that we removed initially to get to the material, we return the overburden back into the earth, so that farmers can go back to those places where we have mined coal to farm. Yes. So the land is not wasted after we've finished our mining. As we are mining, as we are taking out, we are replacing the overburden to make sure that the place is safe enough for the farmers to go back there to mine. Before we mine, before we use the land for mining, we compensate them. And as we are even mining, we're compensating them. We have a lot of corporate social responsibilities that we do for those communities where we mine. And it's all developed in what we call the CDA, agreement with all the communities, which is always overseen by the ministry. In the past, about 10 years ago or so, Dangote, Bua, Lafarge were importing coal into Nigeria from South Africa to run their coal and to run their cement clinkers. Yes, they imported coal to Nigeria 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Now, the importation has, from the past 2-3 years, they don't import coal anymore. We, the local miners, satisfy that demand. There's a need, there's a huge demand for coal, both in Nigeria and overseas. They should come in, investors should come in, and especially for us to collaborate so that we can set up coal power plants in Nigeria. Because if you research the cheapest source of electricity in the world, it is still coal, and it will forever be coal, because coal is the cheapest to mine. Gas is far more expensive to mine than coal. That's why the cost of gas will always be higher than the cost of coal. Coal is easy to mine. Where coal is available, where it is in abundance, it is easy to mine. And the Nigerian regulators have done all their best to ensure that we have a level playing field for everybody. If you have an area you want to get a license, you go to MCO, you apply, within days, 2-3 weeks, you get your license. So I don't see anything that we can ask the government to do again, except to sort out this transportation problem. And sorting out the transportation problem is not only for coal, because once the Nigerian railway is able to provide freight service, you will see that companies that traditionally have invested in their own trailers, like Bua, Dangote, Mangal, even Mosra, we will go to the Nigerian Railway Corporation for them to move our goods to our customers. We are actively looking for investors for our coal power plant. We're also looking for investors for our iron ore to steel project. Because one of the major problems that we have in Nigeria is we do not have steel production locally. We import 90% of our steel consumption. That's expensive. That's why development is low. Because steel is the major component that drives development. Whether you're looking at railway, you're looking at cars, you're looking at skyscrapers, boats, ships, just name it. They are all dependent on the steel industry. And one of the key things that we must do as a nation, the private sector, is to establish viable steel plants in Nigeria, and as well as cheap source of electricity, which is via coal.